Morning. You alright? Have you got over it? The worst performance of all time? Not sure about that. Not sure it's worst performance of this season. But it was a terrible result for us. Wednesday 0, Millwall 4. So, Joe Edwards brought his Millwall to Hillsborough. First managerial job for him, similar to Danny Rule in that sense. Although I've got to be honest, when Gary Rowett got sacked, I was a little bit surprised. You know what I mean? I could understand Cisco getting sacked, and I could understand Ainsworth getting boot. But Gary Rowett, I didn't think he was doing too bad a job. Certainly away from home, and they have got decent away form. Danny Rule, 2 changes from the Bristol City game. Let's have a quick look at that. 2 changes for Wednesdays that took on Millwall this afternoon. Dawson in goal, back 3 unchanged. Iofa, Diaby and Bernard. Midfield from right to left, Patterson, Byers, Bannon, Marvin Johnson coming in on the left for his first start. Gassama and Masaba retaining that sort of attacking midfield position behind the second change, which was Ashley Fletcher in up front for Michael Smith. And as for the new man, Edwards, how did he line his Millwall team up? Millwall went with a 4-4-2, although tucked in. Bielowski in goal. Back 4, Norton, Cuffy, Harding, Cooper and Wallace. Denori and Saville in the middle of the park. Honeyman and Longman in the wide areas. And a front 2 of Fleming and Bradshaw. Wednesday came out gung-ho. They had a real go at it, 2 changes in there. Opportunity for Fletcher to show what he can do. Not hit the ground running since he's been at Wednesday, but not a lot of players have been this season. But I'd got a feel, I thought, if anyone can get something out of this player, it's probably this manager. And I've got to be honest, first 10-15 minutes, I thought, there were little flashes in there, and I thought, maybe there's something in there. Frustrating though. There was one bit, he won a ball, it was like 70-30 in his favour, but he busted a gut, he got there first, he held it up really well, used his strength, back to goal. Laid a nice ball out to Masaba, turned, got on his bike. Great stuff. But this is that thing about lack of confidence or just not quite thinking. As Masaba went down left-hand side, Patterson and Gassama have come in on the other side, and they're both sort of making their way to sort of back stick area, 6-yard box. If he's got awareness there, Fletcher, he sees them making that run. There's a huge space on the sort of inside left position, just inside box. So as Masaba's going down, he can peel off to front stick and receive that ball in there. He probably gets a free shot at goal. But as it is, he's done all the hard work, won the ball, held it up really well, laid it out wide, turned around, got on his bike. But then when he's seen that he's heading into the same space as 2 of the people who are already in, instead of, right, I'll go somewhere else, he just carries on meandering towards them. So very frustrating. 25 minutes, great opportunity for Wednesday. Arid ball over to the other side. Patterson headed it down brilliantly. I think it was Bernard who played ball. Headed it down, and it was coming right into the path. It was going to be an absolute tapping. But Cooper there, lad, brilliant bit of defending, facing his own goal, and managed to get a rangy leg out and put it over the bar. But really good opening 10 minutes from Wednesday. Bukowski, who were playing it net for them, his kit. I'll tell you what it reminded me of. Do you remember them Chewits? Like a Chewit wrapper. Millwall started growing into the game. Good away form, decent away side, Millwall. I think their problems have been on their own patch. They started growing into the game, but I won't by any means say that they took the game from Wednesday. It evened out more, that's the way I'd describe it. And whilst it weren't a brilliant game of football, it were 2 teams having a real go at it, and it was a real contest, and I was quite enjoying it, to be honest with you. 28 minutes. Oh God, Wednesday should take lead. Fantastic opportunity. Bannon drove right through out of their midfield. Wednesday split it. Lovely threaded ball from Masaba, and just as it's coming in, he tries to help it onto his right foot with his left foot, and as he does it, it just flips ball up a bit. And it's only an inch or 2 inch, but it just flips it up, and then when it comes across to his right foot, for me, he's got to know that it's flipped. And when it's flipped, you know then that you've got to get above it. You've got to keep your knee above it and drill it across. But it flips up, and he's trying to take skin off it. He absolutely blazes it off a bar, and that's a critical opportunity. Because as I said, Wednesday had started well. The game was evening out. A couple of chances at even end, but that, if you take the lead in the game, you give yourself an opportunity, don't you? And sod's law, 10 minutes later, we're a goal behind. Now, the goal, I want to talk about the goal in two bits. The first bit is the build up to the goal, because it comes from a corner, but it starts with a ball over the top. Dom and Byers both in a different way, caught slightly out of position. However, they are both recovered in it. Their lad gets back, and suddenly there's a whistle. Their lad clearly thinks it's from referee. It must have been from crowd or whatever. And I think it's actually cost Wednesday, because as their player's going through, he's going to get there first. He's going to get there before Byers. But Dom Iorfa's coming across, so I think when their lad gets there first, I think Dom comes and puts himself between him and the goal. I think that probably gets sorted out, that situation. But because of this blow of the whistle, their player sort of stops and arms in there, and as he does so, it just allows Byers to get that half a foot round him and just put his foot through it. So they get a corner from a situation where I almost feel like it'd be better if they could have got there first, because he'd got two lads converging on him. So, set piece. Danny Roll desperate to get a set piece coaching, and when we think about set piece coaches, we're always thinking attacking set pieces, but really defensive set pieces as well, because this is a nightmare goal to concede. As I said, I'm not one of these who's and I daren't even look on the internet. I'm not one of these who, worst performance of all time. I thought it was a decent performance, not brilliant. I thought there were some ropey games in there and players naturally faded second half, but I didn't think it was a horrific performance. But the first goal is a horrific one to concede. It's a completely free header. It's bad because you could see it coming before they'd even took it as they were lining up. You could see it spare man on edge of box. And then in box, were we man marking, zonal marking? It was just like, ugh. As I said, 4 at edge of box, we only send 3 out to deal with. Then in the box, the 2 in the middle, nice and tight, man for man, no problem there. Then we've got Diaby and Byers. I don't know, are they marking zonally? Are they doing what we used to call marking posts? If so, no problem. But whenever they've got 4 on edge of box against our 3, one of them's always going to get a run. And it's exactly what happened. 2 got tight, the other 2 split out, and as soon as they split, poor old Callum Patterson, he's got 2 to pick up, and it'll be sod's law. Whichever one he tries to pick up, I'll get the free header. So my question is, why have we got spares in there? 2 marked on goal mouth. We've got a man up front post, a man up back post. But why have we got somebody stood a yard in front of George Byers? Either George Byers is on front zone or other laddies. And George Byers can come out to cluster. Personally, I'd have sent Diaby out to cluster on edge of box with his heading. I'd have stuck Byers to echo away off back stick, and I think it's Johnson on front stick. But as it is, the way it lines up, we've more or less just got 3 people stood in a line, completely took out at game doing now. As I said, there's several ways you can sort that out. A, stick Diaby in there with that cluster on edge. That's one thing. If you're having men on posts, let's know who they are. Barry Bannon's in a floating position out there. That's something else I didn't even mention. I don't really think he's doing anything there. Little player, okay, he's not going to win any headers. Stick him with his arm up round back post and just blast anything off that line. Do you know what I mean? Byers on front of him there. I think it's Marvin Johnson, floating positions, not really doing anything. It's all right, hoping ball drops there. But how many balls genuinely, unless Darren put a second corner, just shuttle 3 foot across floor into box? They don't. As I said, I don't think Wednesday's played particularly badly. But a goal down, which is a bit of a nightmare because we don't score many, so there's obviously that. However, if we can get in at break, 1-0 down, we're still in the game. We'd not played that badly, to be honest, in that first half. There were some individual errors, decision-making. The two young lads, the attacking players, some of their decision-making was off, but it wasn't a horrific performance by any means. The problem is we're then going 2-0 down, and that's a completely different kettle of fish. Ball down right-hand side. Bannon's chasing back. There was no lack of endeavour today from Wednesday players. Cross comes in, gets buttered out to edge of box, and Saville comes in, and he hits an absolutely lovely volley. Lovely volley. Outside at boot, and what he does, Masaba can take a leaf out of book here. He don't cream it. He don't try and cream it, because if you get that wrong, it's 40 yards off a bar, it's in back at cop. He does volley it, but he guides it. It's a gentle swing it in. He lets the ball do the work because of the momentum that's on it when it comes back out to him. Absolutely lovely strike, bit of swaz, straight into the corner. Not much you can do there. Second half, 2-0 down, but Wednesday come out positive again. First 5 minutes, I thought we looked really strong. Dominic Iofa burst down right hand side, and genuinely, he's put in probably the best cross I've ever seen him put in. And I think he's had a decent game today, Dom. I know one of the goals will come too late, and I thought he was a bit flat-footed, but overall I think he's had a decent game. And I think he's had a decent month. I think he's looking more like the old Dom. But then they scored again. 51 minutes, it's absolute curtains. Harding scores it. It's a ball down the right-hand side. We allow the cross into the box. I've seen Cam Dawson get mercilessly crucified online. Is he having best of seasons? I don't think he is. I didn't particularly think Vasquez was, but I think you've got to put the Cisco factor into that and the fact we were conceding hundreds of shots. Would I take Dawson out? I'd probably take him out of the firing line, because I think he looks like he's not playing with a great deal of confidence. However, this third goal is a low cross into the box, and it's easy for middle-aged men to sit there on the internet. You've got to be brave there, got to get down to that. I've even just rewatched highlights just to remind me who put cross in. And even commentator, well, he's got to deal with that. It's easy for us to sit here and tell someday a professional, yeah, get down there and get studs in your face, because that's what that cross is. It's in a really dangerous area. It's a really good cross. He gets down, their leg gets in, smashes ball, ricochets off Dawson. I don't think there's a great deal he can do there. Comes out. What does disappoint me is I offer him Bernard, because ball watching. We used to say when we were kids, we used to have coaches, and if you were playing up front and your midfielder were going to have a pot shot from 20 yards, they always used to say to us, always follow it in, always follow it in. Presume that the goalkeeper's going to drop it. And you might close down 20 times in a game and he takes every single one, but I guarantee if you don't go, he'll spill that one. And why weren't you there? Same thing with defenders. Never presume the keeper's going to take it. Especially like that, when it's a 50-50 clash with a centre forward, it can squirm out anywhere. And there, lad Harding, he's deep, and then he gets through that gap. He's aware, gambling, he might spill that. We're a bit flat-footed, by the time we react, it's him back in there. I mean, that ball comes in, takes a deflection, but if you look at Harding's position, he actually starts behind our two set of halves. But he's got his eye on the prize. He's not going to presume that Dawson's going to take it. And as soon as it's ricocheted off him, he's already in. Eyes on ball, and he's already in. Got a step ahead of him, and they caught flat-footed. Made a triple sub at break, Danny Rill. I could understand two of them. I couldn't understand the third one. Windass coming on for Gassama. I could understand that, because I thought Gassama today looked like the young boy that he is. I thought he were brushed off ball very easily, and some of the decision making were off, which it's going to be with these young kids. You know, we even said that against Rotherham. It's not going to be great all the time. There's going to be bad games in here. Cadamartri came on for Fletcher. Understandable again. Like I said, I thought Fletcher had a bright 5-10 minutes at the start first half, to be honest with you, and then just faded again. And I think it's focus with him as much as any technical attributes. And Hendrick on for Byers, I couldn't understand that one. When I saw Hendrick down there on byline, on touchline, sorry, I thought he was going to come on with Byers and Bannon. I thought they were going to give us a 3 in there in midfield, because for me, if you're playing 3 at back, you've still got to play 3 in middle. You've got to keep hold of that midfield. This 3-4-3 to me, it's like a bit of a hybrid. I think you've either got to play 4-3-3 or 3-5-2. It's a sort of hybrid, but it does leave you short in that middle. So I thought Hendrick would have come on with them two, and I actually thought Byers, without being brilliant, had a decent first half. He were getting a foot in, he were challenging for things, and him and Bannon were finding it tough in there, because the Millwall midfield, it was a 4, but Honeyman and the lad on the other side, something else, they were tucking in quite a bit and almost making a little square forward in there. So they were dealing with us and giving us a bit to think about. So I was surprised at Hendrick for Byers. It was about 60 minutes. We actually had a really good handball claim. Windass had a shot. Hit their lad on arm. It's clear as day. Absolutely clear as day. But it bounces back out. Windass cracks another shot. This time it's that Cooper on arm. It's 2 nailed on handballs in 15 seconds. Don't get either of them. I'm not blaming ref, and I'm not saying that's cost us game, because we conceded 4 poor goals for me. But when you're not getting luck, you're not getting luck. They were stonewallers. 71 minutes, game's dead and buried. Norton Cuffey, the right fullback, thought he had a decent game, him actually. Him and Cooper, I like Cooper. I think he's a really decent centre-half, sort of player I'd like us to get, actually. He does really well, but he turns Masaba inside out. Now, I know Masaba's not a defender, but I was surprised how easily he got past him there. It comes in. I've heard people saying, oh, he shouldn't be beaten on near post. I'm not sure he were beaten on near post. I've only seen it from one angle, obviously, but to me it looked like he drilled it hard and low across goal to far stick into side netting, so I don't think he were beat on near post. I suppose it depends where you sat, doesn't it? Could he do any better with that? Possibly. I think he's expecting it on near post. Usually when players get in that angle, they just tend to bloody cream it, don't they, at 75 mile an hour, and there's not much you can do, but it's hard and low across like we used to be taught to do as kids. Well, I'm still going to do a man of the match, because I'm not a mardy ass. I thought Dom had a decent game. He's starting to get forward more. I really like that. Bannon were trying. There's never a lack of endeavour. I don't think the system suits Barry Bannon. He's in a better area of the pitch than he were earlier in the season when when Cisco played in more I call hiding position. But I just thought he's better in there with a reinforcement in there with him. So Dom, I thought Bannon tried hard. But I think I'll probably give it to young Cadamartri. Was he sensational? No. Would I be starting him every week? No, because I won't start a young kid in a struggling side that's desperate for the result. But I'd definitely keep him on bench and keep using him. I thought there were some real flashes there. He had a good shot when a cross come into back post, but it just bounced up awkwardly for him. But what he did show is really good mobility and agility to turn his body angle, and he had to side flip his body to get his left foot on it. Good save from there, lad, the human Chewit. He had another one, cross comes, it was slightly behind him, a bit like the Lee Gregory chance the other week. But he actually, again, and it's that youth, you've got that spring and mobility in your body. Managed to get his foot round it. That was just a whisker wide at post after it clipped off one of their lads. And right at end, really deserved a goal. Fantastic movement. And as I was talking about first half with Fletcher just drifting off to back stick waiting for a cross when he could have come short and received. Exactly what Kadamatri did. Wednesday down right hand side, crossing, peels to front stick, gets right across front of his man. Fantastic header, just wide at post, and genuinely probably deserved a goal for me. So yeah, signs of promise there with lad. But let's not, in a struggling team, start putting too much pressure on a young lad's shoulders. Do you know what I mean? Because that is a burden to bear, especially at top end at pitch, goal scoring. Yeah, 4-0. Disappointing goals. 2 of them have really annoyed me. I can't lie. 2 of those goals have really annoyed me. The Saville volley, I think you've got to hold your hands up and say that's a really great strike, really well controlled strike. The Norton Cuffy one at the end, again, really good play. Cuts inside, beats his man, drills a shot across goal. I think that's a good goal. I think you've got to hold your hands up there to them goals. The header, the first one, shocking. And the rebound one for Harding, the third goal, very disappointing. It's flat-footed. It's just that being switched on. You've got to be switched on all the time. Do I think it was a 4-0 game? No. The last 20 minutes was awful, but then, you're 4-0 down. It's going to be awful. There's nothing to play for. You're not going to come back. You're not going to score 4 goals, are you, in the last 20 minutes? So I'd say a decent performance first half. First 5 minutes at second half, 10 minutes even after they scored, I thought we had a little spell. But it's these mistakes. Okay, then let's have a look at scores down at our end at table. Coventry City 0, Stoke 0. Hull City 1-0 win over Huddersfield. Ooh, that's done Darren Moore there. QPR 0, Bristol City 0. Leeds United 2, Plymouth Argyle 1. James and Perot there before Wayne got a late consolation. That keeps them down at the fighting end. And blimey, Watford 5, Rotherham 0. Rajovic, Kayembe in St Martins. That is a pasting there for the Millers. Under a bit of pressure, that Taylor now, I think. Quick look at the table then. Well, that defeat to Leeds United keeps Plymouth down there in 19th spot on 16 points. Coventry with that well-earned draw, that pulls them back up to 20th point, swapping places with Huddersfield, who of course lost to Hull. Rotherham spanking away at Watford keeps them well down in the bottom 3 with ourselves with 11 points, although Queen's Park Rangers closing the gap on them with their home point. Wednesday still propping up the table, I'm afraid, 6 points. But the real issue, which stands out of country mile, is that goal scored column. Just the 7 goals this season. Gargantuan task. Well, isn't it? We're still only 9 points off safety. We'd need to put a hell of a run together. But I've seen improvements. I think we can do it. And if we don't, we don't. I think the start of the season will be what cost us our transfer policy in the summer. If we've got a transfer policy. If we can stay in touch until January, let's see if we can do a little bit of business, because we all know where the problems are, at what end of the pitch the problems are. Do a little bit of business in January. Who knows? 2 big games coming up. Birmingham City, they've lost again today, and then Leicester. So we've got to be looking at taking something from Birmingham to stay in touch with QPR and Rotherham. Can we do it? Hopefully. Although now on Wednesday we'll probably lose that and beat Leicester. It'd be like a cup tie. And we haven't been in cup ties in the last few years when we've played Premier League clubs and the like. So we'll see. Anyway, try not to let result get you down. Enjoy the rest of your weekend if you can, and I'll see you on the other side.